Welcome everyone. People Management Matrix. This is the topic that we'll be dealing in this particular video presentation. Let us understand the importance of human resource management. Remember, without employee, there doesn't exist any organizations or any company for that matter. So believe me or not, when I say that people are the souls to an organization, they're the most important of all assets. It is their intellectual property, it is their skill, it is their will, it is their ability that pushes the organization beyond a certain limits and probably makes the organization the special one, the unique component, the competitive advantages is all due to the employees that it possesses. People determine the success and failure of an organization as the case might be. And you name it, we have one of those very famous comic strips called Dilbert, which actually deals in such kind of scenarios with respect to the office matters only, nothing around but the office matters. So let us understand the global IT workforce with the advent of internet, with the advent of proliferation of online working, and let's say due to the pandemic that had plagued our planet in 2019, 2021. It started in the month of November 19. Probably it took much more of a devastating effect in early 20s, let's say in the month of March, April, and so on and so forth. Why am I talking about this? Because this has led to a different style of working altogether, wherein information technology, or should I say the online platform, takes a precedence in our daily maneuvering and management of organization. So we have seen ups and downs, definitely, both in the environment and also in the information technology labor market. But what we would like to always stress upon it is there will be always in dearth of good, skilled, willpower, able employees, be it on an IT scale or any other scale as the case might be. Remember, 33% of the world population is online at any point of time, as is we are talking around it, of which approximately 50% are below the age of 25. And by the time you will be actually watching this video, I will not be surprised if 65% of the population is below the age of, let's say, 30 or 35 by that time. And it is going metamorphically, absolutely in a fabulous standard. You will see that there are a number of people on the planet, a number of accounts in social media websites, I suppose, will be exceeding there. So number of people would be less, and number of social media accounts would be much more, probably in times of two, three, four times the procedure. So what does it tells us to be that people are more active on the metaverse. So let us understand. We know we will be talking about the people management matrix in this particular thing. So we need to understand what exactly is people with respect to a project, with respect to a company, with respect to a corporate. We are here to make the most effective use of the people involved with the project. Processes include planning of human resources. Yes, definitely. What are the people who are going to hire? The recruitment procedures, the selections, and thereabout. Acquiring the project team, executing, developing the project team again is executing, and probably managing the project team as the case might be. So these are what we are looking forward to, the project management human resource thing. Now, if you look into it, there is a project or where there's a company which starts and it goes on. If you want to give a continuum, probably there might be a stoppage somewhere down the corner. Need not necessarily the company extinguishes or finishes out altogether. But if I am deliberately taking an example of a project, but you can always extrapolate it to your company. Why project? Because project has a definite start and a definite finish time. Now, this is what I wanted to stress about the employees as such. Now, we have three phases as such. One is a planning phase when probably the project starts altogether. When we are looking to plan for every nitty-gritty things about the project, including the human power, including the employees. Now, once this thing has been captured encapsulated, you look for execution, and this is where we are requiring for the project team, the employees to work in out. They have been giving goals, directive, resources have been allocated, things like been there, processes have been installed, and so on and so forth. Once planning has been done, execution been initiated, and then the only work that has been left is all about monitoring and controlling so that we achieve the end objective. And this is true with not only with project but also with the corporate body, as the case might be. So let us understand the people management matrix slowly and steadily. That is what the case we are trying to build upon it. Psychologists, management theorists have devoted much research and thought to the field of managing people at work. Definitely, yes. Important areas related to project management includes motivation theories, influence and power, and effectiveness that is being kept out there. With we are ensuring that people are motivated. We are ensuring that they have a sense of empowerment. They take the decisions on their own, probably has a sense of accomplishment when the decision goes right. And in effect, we'll make it much more prudent, much more effective, much more efficient organization. Remember, the keys are all to managing the employees thereby. So let us understand what helps us and what hurts us, as in what will further our goals or what will be probably hurdles to in achieving our goals. Projects are more likely to succeed when project managers influences with anything and everything that comes around it. This is what we are looking forward to. Whereas projects are likely to fail when projects managers are rely too heavily on. So it is the manager's responsibility, it is the leader's responsibilities, or they will determine whether the project or the company becomes sustainable or has a devastating effect altogether. So that is what. So we will be talking about the power. Now, power is the potential ability to influence a behavior. Now, this is what we are trying to look as far as the leadership's qualities are going around. There are various types of power that the leaders can embolden with. There can be coercive power, definitely yes. There can be an authoritative power. There can be a spiritual power. There can be leadership abilities. There can be a democratic leadership style. There can be an autocratic leadership style. Now, what are the powers that a person embodies upon and employs upon to ensure that people actually follow the dictates thereby. So let us understand planning the process groups, developing human resource planning. We are used to determining roles that are performed on a scheduled activities and to develop the staff management plan to fill the roles with the team member. Content includes project organization charts, yes, staffing management plans, responsibility assignment matrix, resource histograms, and so on and so forth. This will be telling me to you as to what the project is all about and what the organization is going to entangle, which all organizational life cycle the organization is presently at times are experiencing. Based upon it, we will have the ornogram. Based upon it, we will be manning the positions, vital position, and the responsibilities has to be assigned. Also, not only these things will be sufficient, because now is the time when you will actually have to allocate resources based on the requirement. So inputs, how do different department and people within the performing organization interact with each other. Now this is what you need to understand. Is there a sense of trust or mistrust, or is there the confidence building measures being taken place altogether? There are many enterprises environmental factors to be considered. Now what are the environmental factors that comes around it? It might be the organization or the business might be cyclical in nature, probably, or the you are actually fighting, or should I say competing with a very large organization, or is it you are looking into a different market, you are a new entrant to a different market, and thereby every strategies has to change, every department has to plan baby steps one by one each time. I'll give you a sample organizational chart, or should I say an organogram of basically of an IT project, and this is just for the sample part of it. You can replicate or probably extrapolate it to your requirement. We have the chief executive officer or the president or the board of governors that goes around it. Then we have the deputy who are actually being there to responsible for the execution of the work. Based on the deputy is where you will have a lot many fragmented functional department. And in this case, it will be in an IT project. You can have it in a engineering ones, or probably let's say a pharmaceutical company if you're looking at into it. So we have for a system engineer, independent test group, project technical lead, quality assurances, and so on and so forth. So this can be further bifurcated. Configuration management would tell it to you which software, which platform which you are utilizing it, which languages are going to be going about it, what is NLP. So we have these sub projects that comes around it. So you, if you look into software sub project manager one, software sub project manager two, and that is going around, and who in turn is responsible for project team A, project team B, project team C, each individual. Now, this is what is a sample organization chart or onogram for a large IT firm. Remember, this can be extrapolated to any of the organization, any of the industry, any of the company that you are presently working or imagining itself to be. So let us understand the work definition and assignment process. So we have the steps that has been kept around it, the charter, the scope, the statement. It's all about the requirement finalizations that comes around it. Now, once we have done about this thing, what is my vision, what are we looking into it? So key output will be your final project scope as to the breakdown of the steps to achieve your mission, the baseline finalizing technical base, the milestone, the timeline that goes around it. So once you have done this output, now you will involve into how it will be executed, how the work will be done. And this is where you will have to allocate people to a particular task, make them responsible, look at their technical approaches, absolutely look at the work before you start fragmenting it and allocating it to the people. So how the work will be done, now dissect the work into different activities, different jobs altogether. So yes, we break down the work, and the WBS comes around it. What is work breakdown structure comes around it. Now the activity has been designed. Now is the time where you will actually assign the work and make people responsible for those WBS, those work breakdown structures as the case might be. And this will give me an organogram as to the organization breakdown structures is all about it. So responsibility assignment matrix is RAM, is a matrix that maps the work and of the project as described in WBS or work breakdown structure, and people are responsible for performing the work as far as organization breakdown structure is concerned. So if you have the work breakdown structure, let's say the one work, there's a work called one, and then it then break down into 1.1.1, 1.1.2, 1.1.3, 1.1.4. Everything has been given to every different department. See, I have marked it with responsible organization unit and performing organization unit. In most of the cases, except for few, let's say 1.1, 1.1.1 and 1.1.7, we have responsibilities being system engineer, but performance has been done by somebody else. One's in the test engineering, and the other one would be integrated logistical support that we are looking out here. So this is what you need to understand as far as responsible assignment matrix is concerned. So we have the Raki card or RACI chart, the way you want to go around it. So we have the test plan, unit plan, integration test. So R stands for responsibility, A for accountability. Remember that accountability is only for one particular task. C for consultation, and I for information. And that is how it comes around it. And this coordination, if it has been done, the Raki chart has been done forwarded, you will ensure that the system is in place and it will be a well-oiled machinery altogether. You don't need to rely on a communication techniques being vibrant thing. You need to be very fixated as to who is responsible and who is accountable. Remember, that is what we are looking into it. What needs to be consulted upon, what needs to be allocated upon, what needs to be discussed upon, and who needs to be kept in the loop, as in I has to be given. So that is what is the chart that gives it to you. If you can bifurcate the work breakdown structure and organization breakdown structure and probably come up with a Raki chart, your system is completely in place. So staffing management plans and resources. A staffing management plan describes how, when people will be added to and taken off the project as on when on basis. A resource histogram is a column chart that shows the number of resources assigned to a project over a period of time. This is very important. This is one thing that nobody should neglect it at any of their cost. So planning process group, acquiring the project team, acquiring qualified people for the team is crucial. It is important to assign the appropriate types and the number of people to work on the projects at the appropriate time as on when on basis. And this is what we keep on telling it to you. Inputs is into the acquiring team, human resource plan, enterprise environmental factors. What are they? They are all about availability, competency, experiences, interest, and cost. So these are the inputs that an acquiring team has to be aware of in terms of availability of resources, in terms of competencies, about their skills, experiences, whether they have actually been there, done that kind of scenarios, interest and cost as the case might be. Be aware of the resource loading. Yes, people might not be bogged down or probably allocated more resources then they can handle around it. So resource loading is what helps a project manager develop the general understanding of the demands of a project, that the organization works around it. And if you look it out, it will tell it to you which has been overloaded as such. Why there is particular month, in the month of April, May, things have been done on a very large scale. Whereas certain things have been done on a very evenly spread about. So is this over allocation? Then comes the resource leveling as a technique for resolving conflicts due to resources. Why this conflict happens? Because there is a scarcity of resources, because there's no clarity about who is supposed to utilize, because things have not been prioritized, and because there's a lack of communication. So yes, resource leveling is a technique for resolving resource conflict by delaying tasks. Now, by delaying tasks in the sense you now need to prioritize and get on with one of the tasks, finish it off before you move on the task, and probably you cannot have simultaneous tasks going at the same time. Benefits of resource leveling. When the resources are used on a more constant basis, they require less management. It may enable project managers to use just-in-time inventory type of policy for using of subcontractors or other expensive resources. It results in a fewer problem of the project personnel and accounting department as often as possible. It often improves the morale of the employees. Yes, because everybody is aware what has been expected. Everybody is in the loop as how things will proceed. And that is the beauty of resource leveling as the case might be. Let us understand how do we go about probably planning for people matrix altogether. The main goal of a team development is to help people work together more effectively to improve the project performances as on when on basis. You remember team development has this forming stages, then comes the storming stages, then comes norming, then comes performing and the adjourning. So 5 stages: forming, storming, norming, performing, and then adjourning. So these are the progressive stage that goes around it for the planning process of the group to develop the project team. How does it, in which stage are you are in? Are you in the forming stage? Are you in the second stage of storming where people are trying to find the modalities of working around it? Or adjourning, probably you have come to the end objective, have realized the objectives, and then you are now thinking of whether to proceed or there is a dismemberment of the group as such. So that is what the planning process will let us know it. Remember, which I have said to you: forming, storming, norming, performing, and adjourning as the case might be. Developing the project team on the basis of this thing. Remember, in the forming stage, everybody is questioning, nobody is very sure about it. It is all about socializing, displaying. focus on the groups, sticking to safe topic. Then comes the strategies, take lead, individual contract, clear expectation, and quick response. Storming is where we are looking into the characteristics, resistance, lack of participation, conflict, competition, high emotions, moving towards the norms, and so on and so forth. And this is how we are actually going through the stages. Every stage will have different strategies in places, big based on the development of the group. Now let us understand the DISC profile. DISC is all about dominance, influence, steadiness, and compliance. The four dimensions of normal behavior of human beings, people, employees in general. People would like to dominate, people would like to influence, people will like to have a sense of regularity, steadiness, and compliance. So there are no changes, no surprises. So people in opposite quadrants have problems, definitely have problems in understanding each other. So people who are dominant probably will not like to be having with will okay will go with compliance, probably yes, but they will not like with influences. Absolutely. Steadiness will always not like to get in favor with dominant kind of scenarios, as the case might be. So if you look into it, compliance and influence, dominance and steadiness. So compliance is blue tick, where it's all about data driven, risk averse, concern. You are looking at to the black and white things of processes all together. Dominance on the other thing is direct, decisiveness, assertive, outcome oriented, competitive, self assured, takes control as on when on basis. Steadiness is something which is green in terms of being yourselves, being calmer, being sincere, being sympathetic, being cooperative. Whereas on influence, it is persuasive, it is optimistic, outgoing, verbal, enthusiastic, strives to win over others through acclimatizations, and that is what we are looking for it. As far as the text profile is concerned, now let us understand the reward and recognition system. Remember, employees, teams, or people-based reward recognition can promote teamwork. Definitely, yes. If you have transparent, if it is very vibrant, if it is very relevant, and if people can relate to the words as to why the reasons are behind you, it is very rewarding and it promotes teamwork, promotes motivation. Focus on rewarding the team for achieving a particular goal, allows team members to mentor and probably help each other, as the case might be, for the project goals and develop human resources thereby. Project managers must lead their teams in performing various activities. After assessing team performance related information, the project managers must include what should be changed, what is that requires your understanding, or probably having an alteration that needs to be taken place. If corrective or preventive action is to be recommended, please go ahead with it. If updates are needed to the project management team and the organizational process as the case might be. So let us understand the conflict handling modes before we wind up with the people management matrices. There are basically 6 steps of handling conflict. Whenever you look into conflict, we can plot it in terms of task importance and relation importance, be it on x-axis and y-axis, and the way you want to go around it. Remember, when between task and relations, if both are important given due weightage, you are looking always for a compromise. But if it is if you are not trying to solve the problem, neither for the relationship, you don't want to improve the relationship, nor do you want to achieve the task objective. So basically, you're avoiding it. And when the task is important, you are coercing the problem, absolutely forcing it out. Absolutely, yes. But when the relationship is problem, you people probably buttering it up, having faith, keeping faith in the relationship. Probably they might be negating on the task. So still they're accommodating or ignoring certain things. But it is the requirement where both relationships and tasks are important. We are looking at a problem solving scenario, probably looking for a win-win situation in the form of collaboration, as the case might be. And these are the 6 handling methods of doing everything by themselves. Conflict can be good, definitely yes, because it produces important result, because it actually iron out the issues, because it pinpoints what might go wrong or what is going wrong, and better alternatives can be solicited. Motivations also does wonderfully well if people are working in collaboration with one another. Research suggests that the task related conflict often improves team performances, and emotional conflict are much depressing in nature. So common sources of conflict, as the case might be, it's a work scope, it's a resource assignment, the schedule, the cost, the technical opinions that comes around it, the priorities of resource time, administrative procedures, responsibilities and personality clashes. As the cases of conflict, I still reiterate personality clashes, responsibility, administrative procedure. So there is a point of confusion. There is a point of probably conflict that goes around it. It might be because of the schedule, because of the time, limited time that has been given, because of the limited resources that has been allocated, because of the limited cost it can be go around it. So the root cause of conflict, the project managers has to finally resolve anything and everything for just to ensure that the project becomes successful. If conflict persistent, it becomes a dysfunctional project altogether. So if people are yelling at each other, let's say in a meeting, ask them not to yell, fix the symptom, but root the cause of conflict, which might be differences in the opinion. That is what we need to look into it. It need not be the persons out there are bad. They have differences in opinion, like to understand why this differences exist in the first place. So five dysfunctions of a team is absence of trust, fear of conflict, lack of commitment, and avoidance that needs to be taken care for. Avoidance, all the one which is I have been trying to tell it to you. The inattention of the result that comes around as on when on basis. Let us understand the general advice which we can give it to one another for having wonderfully people management skills. Be patient, always give it a time to, with your team member. Try to fix the problem instead of fixing the people or blaming the people. People are not the issues. You need to find the issues out there, because why are certain people only have issues with certain situation and rest of the time people are okay good with one another? Or why is it that one particular person or few particular person are having a problem with few particular person or one particular person? Find the root cause of it. Establish regular effective meeting. Allow time for teams to go through basic team building stages. Limit the size of the work tree, probably below seven. And odd numbers would always be preferred, let's say 3, 5 or 7. And why do I go for an odd numbers? Because in cases of conflict, in cases of decision making scenarios, you will always have one team going, which can be having a majority of the votes. In cases of 7 members, it would be 3 and 4. So probably there will not be any scenarios of tie-ups, and you will go ahead with the execution of your decision. So using software to assist human resource problem, yes, definitely there are many productivity activities of apps, software have which have been flooding the market of late. These are producing your ramps, your resource histograms all together as on when on basis. Management software include very many features, as in assigning of your responsibilities, identifying the potential resources, shortage of underutilization, and leveling resources thereby. So what do we go around it in case if it is a software related that can be taken upon issues to resolve the people management matrix? Yes, it helps us. Many productivity apps does lets you know where are the bottlenecks, what is happening, where are the resource constraint, what everything will be sensitized and on a real time basis. So project managers must ensure that they treat people with respect, with dignity, understand what motivates them, communicate carefully with them as on when on basis. And because the software is always going to augment to you as to what are the real reasons behind certain bottleneck, certain problem. So focus on your goals of enabling the project team managers to deliver their best work, as the case might be. With this, I come to an end of this presentation. Thank you for watching this video.